Let's get into chapter 3, media. That's exactly my aesthetic. Media is a medium, and it is the actual material substance used to make a work of art. And this is Nam June Paik. I studied him when I was an undergrad. He actually did a really amazing installation using these old CRTs. If you can see, those are all TVs, and they're all playing different, different programming on each one. So he programmed to do that. He had a sculpture at my school. I went to UCSD in undergrad. I transferred. I was a community college kid, just like all of you, exactly like all of you. And I transferred, and he had a big installation in the art, like in front of our art school, of just all these TVs piled up, and it was so cool. Anyway, highly recommend checking out Nam June Paik. He's an amazing installation artist, video installation artist. So that slide is something to know. So the importance of materials. So materials are the physical embodiment of the idea. And in Nam June Paik's video installation, it refers to advertising, signage, televised imagery. Like honestly, you could adapt this to today and put us on phones and iPads, and it would be just as cool. I love neon signs too. Here's Damien Hirst. He's known for his shocking or controversial works, for example, For the Love of God. A platinum cast of an 18th century human skull covered with 8,601 diamonds. Wow. 1,106 carats. With original human teeth. The materials used to make this work of art add to its sensationalism, right? Platinum, life-size cast of a human. So that's the size of the human skull. Yeah, Damien Hirst, he's like kind of a shock guy, which I like. Sometimes they say in art, even if you don't like it and it creates a vibe, like you actually physically don't like it, or if something makes you unhappy or sad, as long as it creates an emotion, that's good art. So it's definitely something for you all to think about as you kind of look at all, I'm showing you in this class, all of the kind of art of, since the beginning of time, basically. We're kind of in modern art now. But knowing what you like, figuring out what you like, is it the more shocking stuff like Damien Hirst of today, which he's still like, one of the biggest artists alive today? Or is it an oil on canvas from 1640? Similar though, right? It's similar in theme. This is just like lavish, over the top luxury of the time. Media in 2D art. So drawing is one of the oldest disciplines using a wide range of materials. And I'm going to be teaching in the fall, I'm going to be teaching drawing fundamentals. So I hope you guys come and take my class. This is a royal profile from Egypt. It's in the Louvre. Dry media usually is stick form. I don't know about dry and wet media, but it's easier to understand viscerally, correct? Right? So dry media would be pencil, chalk, pastel, silver point. And then on the left, we have Judith Baca, Las Tres Marias in 1976, colored pencil on paper mounted on panel with upholstery backing and mirror. Wow. It's always so impressive when people make life-size drawings like that. And then the top right is Robert Gober, pencil on paper, gift of Sarah Ann, and the MoMA in New York. Charcoal. Charcoal's fun to play with. We'll definitely be playing with charcoal if you take my drawing class. Charcoal is a carbon stick created from burnt wood. So it's capable of producing rich, deep, dark areas and a range of lighter tones as well. Stone God Forbidden City, 2002, Douglas Schleicher. Charcoal on paper. with gold and color. Wow, that's really good. Chalk and pastels, colored materials held together by wax or glue and shaped into sticks, are almost pure pigment. Pastel drawings have an intensity that surpasses most other media. Degas loved pastels. The Impressionists really worked well in pastels. And this is Gift of Mrs. David M. Levy from At the Milliners. That's what it's called. That's at the MoMA, 1882. Silver Point, produced by a stylus, which in my drawing class you will also be able to use your iPad if you feel comfortable drawing with a stylus. Whatever you feel comfortable in is just, I want to meet you at that. Some people don't like to draw. Some people love to draw. Some people don't know if they love it or not, and we're going to figure that out. So yeah. Produced by a stylus, Silver Point is made of silver that leaves marks on paper or wood coated with layers of gesso as a ground. So Silver Point drawings are known for its delicacy and precise lines. It's ground up and made of fine powdered white chalk suspended in glue, which is the traditional method. Or it's an acrylic, or you use an acrylic medium like modern gesso. That's Hans Holbein, The Elder, Portrait of a Woman, 1508, Silver Point brush, black and brown with ink on white paper. Wow, amazing that's still there. 1508. We're still looking at the same pieces of paper. Holbein's really good, though. Wet media. Liquid form ink. The most common is used with a brush or a pen. They make lines made by pen marks and washes by brush and are visually fluid. Ink is a versatile medium, so it can be applied to paper with a pen for controlled lines or with a brush for gray washes or bold, dramatic line. This is Mi Weizong, Tree, Bamboo, and Rock. It's calligraphy by Chen Meng. And that's in Paris. Today, ink is more commonly found in felt tip pens and markers. When making sketches or drawings, artists frequently use whatever is available among their ordinary pens or pencils. Right? And that's kind of also how we get graffiti. I'm a big fan of a Sharpie. Love me a good Sharpie. I actually love the colored pencils of Sharpie. And I just saw they were advertising some new Sharpies that I'm interested in getting. They look exciting. Can never have too many colors and different Sharpies. This is Felt Tip Pen and Postcard, Puffy Girl Screen Memory, 92 to 2000. Yoshimoto Nara. New technologies. New technologies. I always am leery whenever I hear new technologies from academia. But let's see. How new is this? It is a 3D generated print. So technology provides new ways of producing drawings. Artists use computers to produce raster-based drawings composed of millions of dots of color. We do that like in Photoshop and Illustrator and in animation and in video game programs. Anything with digital art. Many artists use software. We use all the different types of software for drawing and painting. We also use different tools. Like I said, the stylus you can use on your iPad with Procreate. You can use a Wacom tablet. That's kind of how I learned in my day. And so you can draw on the computer with kind of like the stylus has kind of like the same kind of, pressure as a pen does. So it's nice. 1992 generated print, computer generated print. So you must have made this in some kind of program like Photoshop. Artists can just choose about any material as a medium in their artwork. Yep, and that's part of being an artist, and to delineate yourself between others is finding the medium that you like. And that's kind of part of this class, is kind of discovering the different types of medium of art and what your taste is. So Quengo Quine, drawing for Transient Rainbow, is made with gunpowder on 2 pieces of paper. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that do burnt type drawings. They like burn certain parts of their canvas or their materials to give it that kind of aesthetic and that texture. This is Gunpowder on 2 sheets of paper, August 2003. Printmaking, yes, printmaking is so fun too. The process of making multiple impressions using a printing plate, woodblock, stone, or stencil. The types of printmaking is intaglio, relief, lithography, serigraphy, and monotype, which is a single impression. This is the Printmaker's Workshop in Japan, Edo period, School of Yokohama, 19th century. It's a color and it's in woodblock print. Intaglio has fine lines, a high level of detail, and rich dark tones. Excuse me. Wow, look at this intaglio. 1513. Artists cut into a flat surface to make the image intaglio, from the Italian meaning to cut into. Processes are dry point, anything with dry, like with a dry, engraving, etching, or aquatint. Night, Albrecht Dürer, Night, Death, and the Devil. Just feels so medieval and scary. Yeah. So dry point is scratched on a metal plate with a Burin ink, and it's then rubbed into the scratches. Then the plate and paper are put through the press. Engraving entails cutting or incising lines into a laminated woodblock or a polished metal plate. And then the detail in this print is possible because fine tools were used to engrave thin lines into the plate. I mean, my gosh. So many thin lines. Oh, woodblock prints are examples of relief printmaking. In relief printing, areas are not to be printed and are cut away. Areas that are not to be printed are cut away. Areas to be printed are left higher. And then the ink is applied to the higher areas, and the surface is sent through a press. Etching. A metal plate is coated with a protective ground. The artist scratches a design into the ground, and then the plate is placed into an acid bath, eating away or etching the exposed metal surface. Etching produces a variety of line qualities, while gray tones are created using aquatints. So cool, though. It sounds complicated, but it's actually not. It's really playing with positive and negative space. This is James Whistler, The Doorway, 1880. 1886. It's in DC. Aquatint. It's a process related to etching a metal plate, where a metal plate is covered with acid-resistant powder resin. The plate is heated, melting the resin, which adheres to the plate's surface. The plate is placed in an acid bath, exposed areas are eaten away, and the plate is inked and printed the same way as other intaglio processes. Lithography. An image is drawn with an oily pencil on a limestone slab. A water-based liquid is applied, and the oily marks resist it. So the stone or plate is inked with an oil-based ink, which adheres to the greasy marks, and the plate or stone is then put through the press. So lithography is the printmaking process that produces results that most resemble drawings. And we still use this today quite often. Kiki Smith, born 2002. Serigraphy, a type of screen printing, which is a stencil and it's attached over a piece of finely woven fabric stretched on a frame, where ink is squeezed through the open areas of the stencil and deposited on the surface below. With silkscreen, it is possible to get broad areas of intense color. And this is Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe series, 1967, one of a portfolio of 10 screen prints on white paper. 79, I guess those are the numbers, inventory. They're really great. Monotype. Monotype makes only one impression of an image. A drawing is rendered in oil or water-soluble paint on a sheet of plexiglass or metal. So paper is placed on top of the rendering and hand-rubbed or put through some kind of press. And then some artists produce a second ghost image from the inked monotype plate, but usually the ghost image needs to be finished in some other medium. This is Paul Gauguin's Two Marquesans, 1902. Painting, okay, we're in painting. Painting media consists of two basic components. Pigments, which is intense color in powder form, and binder substances, into which pigment is blended, and it holds the components together when dry. So these are natural pigments, similar to those used by the Navajo people to prepare ritual sand paintings. From left to right, the pigments are cornmeal, pulverized charcoal, brown sand, red ochre, ground gypsum, yellow ochre, gray sand, pollen, and brown clay. So that's exactly how they used to do it back in the day. Before, we had an art store to go buy paint in, they made it from nature. That's how we got pigments. Aduris. Ooh. Red figure Kylix, 490 BCE, slip-on clay, 13-inch diameter. Wow. I love Greco-Roman art. It's beautiful. So paintings need some kind of support, usually stone, clay, plaster, wood, panel, paper, fabric, or found objects. So you need to paint, that needs to be the support structure, right? That's why we still have this today from 490 BCE. Some of the oldest surviving paintings were made on clay vessels. The human body is and has been also a surface for painting. The Chinese opera performer in painting his face in preparation for his character. Ooh, Jasper Johns. He's still alive, believe it or not. Jasper Johns is still alive, and he lives in LA, and he's still selling work. But I, as you, had to study this in undergrad. And, this could be on your quiz. This definitely could be a slide on your quiz. So good to know Jasper Johns' flag from 1954 to 1955, which is encaustic, oil, and collage on fabric mounted on plywood. It's giant. It's huge. So encaustic is one of the most ancient forms of painting media. Pigments are mixed into hot beeswax. Beeswax. And blended until cool. So yes, encaustic is used with beeswax. Check that out. Beautiful. Fresco is used for large murals painted directly on walls. Fresco secco, which is paint is applied to a dry plaster wall. A buon fresco is a true fresco. The plaster is wet. Pigment is suspended in water and applied to and soaks into the surfaces, usually resulting in a very durable painting, which is great. This is glass bowl with fruit. It's Roman, from the Roman times, on a wall found in Mount Vesuvius. All right. Tempera, which is pigments mixed with egg, yolk, and the binder. So whenever anybody says that's a tempera painting, it's made from organic material, usually. Egg yolk. Watercolor. Pigments suspended in a gum arabic. In a gum. And then it's and then there's a water-soluble glue binder to bind the gum to the color in watercolor. And then there's gouache, which is another watercolor with white chalk, and it creates kind of like an opaque paint. On the left, we have Piero del Francesca, portrait of Federico de Montefeltro, Duke of Urbino, and his wife Battista Sforza. This is a tempera on wood from Uffizi, Florence, Italy, 1465. I love that. So bucolic. And then on the right, we have The Reader. Bukhara, Iran. First quarter of the 16th century. It's gouache gold with gold highlights. It's in the Louvre. That's gorgeous too. Oh, here's a closer shot of that. I love these portraits. Look at his nose. It's so good. The detail behind it too. Oil and acrylic paint. So both oil and acrylic paints are notable for their wide range of intense colors. And it's basically what everybody uses today, even today. So if you wanted to just start and become a painter and forget, majoring in biology or whatever, and you just want to go live that, suffering artist life, you would be using oil or acrylic. Probably acrylic because it's cheaper. Oil is very expensive. You'll find that out if you guys take an oil or take a painting class, which I highly recommend you do because it's always fun to play with. And it also helps you kind of figure out what you like, what you don't like in terms of color and gloss and all of those things. Material. So both oil and acrylic paints are notable for their wide range of intense colors. They can be applied as glazes, transparent layers of paint, or alla prima, a technique of painting a direct style without layers. So this is Titan, Venus of Urbino, 1538. Uffizi, Titian, Tiziano Vecellio, Florence, Italy, 1538. Oil paint. So oil paint is made up of powdered pigments ground into a slow-drying oil, usually linseed, and it's soluble in turpentine or mineral spirits. It has been used since the 15th century, which is when they started trading with other people, and that's when they started getting color. That was like the Silk Road. It was very exciting. This painting started as an opaque monochrome underpainting, then had layers of jewel-like glazes applied to the surface. And that's kind of what oil can do. It can just it has that gloss and that sheen that can really bring it up, make things pop out of the canvas. Acrylic paint, which is pigment ground with a synthetic polymer liquid binder, dries quickly into a flexible film and can be applied to almost any support. Acrylic paint can produce a large area of flat color, similar to the effect of latex wall paint. This is David Hockney. He is a California artist, famous. He's still alive. He did a lot of Californian landscapes. You've probably seen his work as a Californian. You've probably seen his work. You just haven't realized it. Bigger Splash, 1967. This is in London. So acrylics are water soluble, and artists can also pour acrylic paint, glaze acrylics, and draw fine lines within it, right? Like the painting on the right. She's pouring it, and then she's kind of moving it around with, you can use a stick. It doesn't matter what the tool is to move the paint around the canvas. Acrylics can be poured, glazed, or painted alla prima. They can be thinned and applied with a fine brush to produce lines. This is Margaret Lazary, Aqueous, 2007. I like it. It's good. Spray paint. Finally, a language we all understand, right? And can access easily is spray paint. So spray paint is airbrush. It's a small spray gun the size of a pin, and compressed air is forced through the airbrush, which atomizes the liquid paint, allowing it to be sprayed. Aerosol cans compress the air and quick drying paint often used by graffiti artists. So it's quick drying, which is probably why, and it's portable and easy to kind of take with you instead of bringing an easel and getting a canvas and doing all that. So that's how we have our modern street art, pretty much. This is an Egyptians walk past a graffiti. Or these are Egyptians walk past a graffiti that reads in Arabic, "Revolution is in our veins," on the wall of Mohammed Mahmoud Street in Cairo's landmark Tahrir Square on September 26, 2012. Wow. I want to go to Cairo. We should do a class trip to Cairo real fast. It's probably hot there right now, though. All right, fabrics, needlework and weaving, textiles, yay! Transitions from 2D art to 3D works cover a range of art objects: tapestries, quilts, rugs, embroidery, and other woven objects. Faith Ringgold used the craft of quilting as an art medium to express her views on African American culture. Ringgold uses quilting to tell stories of her childhood in Harlem. This is Faith's The Bitter Nest, Part 2, The Harlem Renaissance Party, 1988. Acrylic on canvas with printed, dyed, and pieced fabric. It's in the Smithsonian. It's so good. Embroidery involves decorative stitch patterns on fabric. The summer robe is decorated with intricate and detailed embroidery. Silk fabric forms the support for the needlework, which contains complex designs. Here's summer robe from China. It's embroidered on silk. El Anatsui is a firm believer in creating artwork from any materials readily available in the environment, working with found or salvaged materials. Discarded strips of metal foil are woven into sumptuous wall hanging. Sasa, 2004, aluminum and copper wire. I love it when people use recycled materials. Yeah, there's a lot of really great artists that do that. Methods and media in 3D art. So this is Monumental Heads, the Moai statue, 15th century on Easter Island in Polynesia, the Rapa Nui. I've always wanted to go see these guys. Nobody knows what's going on, how those statues got there. They're like huge. They're like a ton a piece, and they're perfectly sculpted. It just looks so neat. So methods in media and 3D art are traditional to new media. They are freestanding. They can be relief sculptures. They are site-specific, right? This is only on Easter Island. You can only go see it there. And they are kinetic. So freestanding sculptures are objects meant to be seen from all sides. Relief sculpture is only seen from the front. So relief sculptures are usually carved out of a single stone or wood block. This is the relief carving second half of the 10th century Hindu in Cambodia. Red stone carvings. Gorgeous. Oh, Richard Serra, I think he just died. The Matter of Time. This is a 8 steel sheet sculpture, each 12 to 14 feet in height and weighing 14 to 276 tons. This is at the Guggenheim. I've always wanted to go to Bilbao. There's also the Dalí Museum is in Bilbao. I almost made it. I was in Barcelona, and it's like a day trip to go see all of these museums in Bilbao. Yeah, Richard Serra is really interesting. He uses like ship parts, so everything kind of is like basically recognizable as like ship pieces. That's the type of steel he uses, and it's kind of like that rusted steel. Site-specific sculpture is specifically designed for a particular place, space, and time. The space becomes a part of the experience of the artwork. This is Rebecca Horn, Mechanized Knives. Kinetic works, kinetic movement or kinetic artwork are movements as part of the piece. So this may not be moving, or it might be moving. It says mechanized, so I'm assuming it is. But because of the nature of it and how we view it in this 2D realm, it almost looks like it's moving, right? Alexander Calder's mobiles. He's really big. Next time you go into a museum, you'll probably recognize one of his pieces. He's done a lot of like these giant mobiles that are usually in museums. Crinkly with a Red Disc, 1973, Steel and Paint. This is in Stuttgart, Germany. So kinetic works are where actual movement is part of the piece. This one is actually moving. Alexander Calder's piece is made of steel and paint. The top section moves randomly in the natural airflow. So carving is a technique for creating 3D work. Artists remove unwanted material from a large block of stone, wood, or a synthetic product. This is a subtractive process, right? So you're subtracting. It starts off as a column, but then as you chip away, you're subtracting from the column. So think of that as subtractive process. Rahuri Rukupo and others are the entrance doorway of a Maori meeting house called Tamana or Turanga, opened in 1883 in New Zealand. Oh, this guy. Michelangelo. Buonarroti. I didn't know that was his last name. Michelangelo Buonarroti, which is David is his most famous sculpture. It's in Florence, and it's from 1501. It took him 3 years to make it. So 1501 to 1504, it's in marble. Wow. It's really big. Yeah, he looks like he's thinking about something, right? Modeling is the pushing and pulling of a malleable substance such as clay or wax. We do that in 3D modeling, right, when we do animation. It's considered an additive process because material is built up to create the final form. This is Eagle Knight, 15th century, earthenware. The earthenware means it's from the earth, like clay straight from the earth, and plaster. This is in Museo Templo Mayor. Aztec Museo Templo Mayor in Mexico. That's so cool. I want to go there. I want to go to Mexico too. Clay. So clay is capable of extremely fine detail. A high degree of control over the surface is possible with ceramic sculpture. So this ceramic sculpture is an example of a trompe l'oeil, fool the eye, or artwork, because it seems to be an actual leather bag, but it's really ceramics. That's really cool. Wait, who is it? It is Marilyn Levine. Female. Ding. Functional ceramics are made with the additive process using clay. Functional pieces are vessels, platters, cups, pitchers. My friend's making me a coffee mug right now. She's a ceramicist. And, yeah. It's pots. You can make pots, like, for your plants. There's all kinds of really great vessels you can create and that are functional as well. And these can be hand molded or pinched, made out of, like pinch pots, made out of coils or slabs of clay or thrown on a wheel. This is a bowl from Maria Martinez, updated blackware, Smithsonian. Modeled sculpture is cast in bronze or plaster. You make the molds. For large bronze sculptures, artists use lost waxing casting method, which this method produces hollow metal sculpture with thin walls. So Ciri Perdue, or lost wax, is the casting process. This is the Marathon Boy, 1330 BCE. It's in bronze. It's Greek Hellenistic period. Wow. I want to go to that. I want to see this. Can we take another class trip to Greece real fast? Oh yeah, we are right now. This is it. The classical Greek sculpture, the Marathon Boy, is cast bronze work made using the lost wax method. Because of the cost and effort, only important artworks using the lost wax casting method. Assemblage. So assembled works are made of various parts that are put together. Assembly is the most fundamental form that can be seen in this elaborate neckgear. It's the process used to create many works of art or personal adornment. Here's some Maasai women wearing beaded necklaces. Assembled works are made of various parts that are put together. Assembled works are mixed media, mixing up the methods and media. When found objects are incorporated, the works are called assemblage. This is Joseph Cornell. He's pretty famous for making these like shadow boxes that are really cool. Susie's Son, 1957. Assemblage uses found objects or ready-mades, already existing objects. Joseph Cornell created poetic, evocative assemblages in shallow boxes and fragments of things that were once beautiful. He is known for assembling artwork from cast-off materials. The worn quality of the elements add to the overall feeling of things lost or remembered. Assembled artworks are often mixed media, which literally means mixing up the methods and their various media in a work. I would say I'm a mixed media artist. Yeah. I like to do a bunch of different types of media. I don't stick within one. It's no fun. You gotta try everything. See what you like. So the Nimba, goddess of fertility, love her, is an example of a sculpture using natural materials that have been carved and adding the raffia skirt and shell ornamentation. So they carved that and then they dressed her in a different material. So that would be mixed media. Guinea. Baga Guinea. Wood, shells, and raffia. Beautiful. Ooh, Robert Rauschenberg. Yeah. All right. Robert Rauschenberg, him and Jasper Johns were like at the same time kind of creating very different types of art that kind of started this movement. Rauschenberg combined oil painting and various found objects, and he coined the term combines, which works that are both painting and sculpture. This is the first landing jump, 1961. It's a combine painting of cloth, metal, leather, electric fixture, cable, and oil paint on composition. I love it. Here we go. Fabricated sculpture, which uses industrial and commercial processes such as welding or neon light. My friend is an artist, and she makes giant sculptures, metal sculptures, but they're like cut, and then she has them fabricated. She makes the design, then she has it fabricated with metal, and then she scratches the metal to give it an extra kind of sheen. So that would be a fabricated sculpture too. So cool. I want to see this. Wow. Richard Serre's The Matter of Time is an example of fabricated with industrial equipment used to roll and shape the sheet metal. New technologies. Ooh. Sculptures can be made from computer-aided design files and then printed on 3D printers. If you guys were taking this class in real life, we could play with that. We have some 3D printers on campus I want to check out. The work is like a graft where the perfection of the machine-made object meets the individual's artist touch. The 5 modules in this sculpture were modeled using computer-aided design software and were produced on a 3-dimensional printer. And Page Petit Homage Stack 8, 2010. Installation, I would also say I'm an installation artist, is mixed media artworks designed for a specific interior or exterior space. The Ecstasy of St. Teresa is the centerpiece of the Coronaro Chapel. Coronaro. It represents the mystical religious rapture of St. Teresa. This is Gianni Lorenzo Bernini. The Coronaro Chapel with the Ecstasy of St. Teresa, 1645 to 1652. It took him to make it. That is almost, that's like 7 years. In the Church of Santa Maria della Vittoria in Roma. I may have gone there. It's in marble, stucco paint, natural light. The central figures are marble. And it's illustrated by an anonymous 18th century painting from the Italian school. The painting is located in the Stachlies Museum in Germany. Okie doke. Ooh. Churches are often designed like installations. They create a spiritual environment. Yeah. Here's Henri Matisse, Tree of Life. Did everybody do a Tree of Life? I feel like I need to do a Tree of Life. 1950 to 51, stained glass. That's in Vence, France? Where's that? I want to go to that. Ooh, Chihuly. Have I seen this? I feel like I've seen this. A bridge between two buildings. The installation is composed of hundreds of individual pieces of blown glass. Seafoam Pavilion. Where is it? Bridge of Glass at the Museum of Glass. I haven't been to it. But I think I've seen something similar because I have been to the Chihuly Museum. He's from Seattle. He has, his museum is in Seattle. I highly recommend it if you guys ever get up there to go to his museum. And he's everywhere. I mean, he's in Vegas. He's everywhere. He's also in every museum that you walk into. Any glass sculpture that you see, it's probably Chihuly. Oh, this could be on the quiz. I don't know, maybe. Christo. Oh, I remember studying about Christo. He's just wild. So this is called Running Fence. It's in Sonoma. It was in Sonoma and Marin counties from 1972 to 1976. So before I was alive, I would have loved to see this. I've seen so many pictures of it. This one's a darker nighttime one. Is there another one? No. But this is Christo in 1976. He did 240,000 square yards of nylon fabric, steel poles, and steel cables to make this like fluid, transformable fabric landscape. So he just added fabric to an already beautiful natural landscape. And it enhances natural beauty. Christo is really cool. I highly recommend you go into looking more at Christo. He's just fascinating. Performance. Oh, this could be something on the quiz. I don't know. Performance is a live action event staged as an artwork. The human body is the prime element in performance art. It is related to installation because it transforms the space. Suzanne Lacey and Leslie Labowitz in Mourning and in Rage. Technology-based media or photography? Yes, it is technology-based media, isn't it? Photography is a light-sensitive surface exposed through a lens and creates an image on the surface. So early photographic processes are daguerreotypes, platinum prints, and silver prints. You can still play with these, all three of these types of processes. I have a friend who still does daguerreo. It's pretty fun. It's really hard. There's these like plates and stuff. 1855 daguerreotype print from 18. But look at this is the fact that we could still look at a picture of Frederick Douglass and what he actually looked like in IRL, right? This is at the Metropolitan Museum. Gursky. Yeah. I remember looking at this exact image in undergrad when I was going to school, and because 99-cent stores were kind of new and they were like just coming out, and people were fascinated by the idea of the 99-cent store. And here we are at the end of the 99-cent store, right? They just all closed. Cibachrome, a photogenic color printing technology with vivid fade-resistant colors, are high detail printed on polyester base rather than paper. So this is a polyester print. So it stretches, right? Photo montage is a collage or combination of photographs that are manipulated and altered to create a new image. Artists often experiment with ways to alter or manipulate photographs. A collage of photographic and drawn images can have an absurd quality because of disjunctions in imagery and space. So this is Hans Jean Arp, with Oscar Dominguez, Sophia Arp, and Marcel Jean. Exquisite Cadaver, 1937. Collage and pencil on paper. The moving image, film and video. Photographs shot in sequence when projected give the still images as illusion of movement. That's what film does. It's a series of photographs shot in sequence and projected to give still images the illusion of movement. That could be on the quiz. I don't know. This is Lorna Simpson, easy to remember, 2001, still from 16 millimeter film, transferred to DVD. The digital revolution has also transformed the moving image. We now record differently. We don't use film as much. We use hard drives now. But Lorna Simpson combines black and white film, which has been digitized and now plays as a DVD with audio. Tony Orsler's Junk is a biomorphically shaped fiberglass sculpture with images of rolling eyes and speaking mouth projected onto the piece. I did weird stuff like this in grad school. I loved playing with projectors and lips and strange things like that. The work that is funny and annoying at the same time. Mine isn't funny and annoying, but it uses a DVD projector. We don't really have DVD projectors anymore. We now hook up the projectors to, like, I use my iPad or some kind of controller where I can control what the image is. And then there's other types which we can talk about. But this is a fiberglass sculpture and it's being projected on from 2003. And that's it for chapter 3. I will see you guys in chapter 4. All right.